And here is my image positive space. Let's take a look how it was done. First, I had to build a plus sign out of 4 core, which I then lit from above. I had my camera on a lighting stand, and I shot the plus sign there. I imported everything into Capture One, and now I needed a ballerina. And for that, there is no better spot than the second floor of the house. It wasn't really super warm, so I tried to make it quick. I put that table here so she could put her hand against it to get a point of reference. And then we took the image into Photoshop.
So first, because I wanted a square, I will need to add a little bit on the top and the bottom of the background. So the first layer here, I filled that area. Second, I see the wall here, little corners here, because that's a foam board that I've built. So I am closing these little gaps. Next, I'm going to skip that layer here. I brighten a bit the outside surface. But now, given that I have my light on the top right, you can see that this side here is much brighter than the bottom left. So first I need to do is compensate the lighting. That gives kind of a more flat, so I darken that surface here with a gradient, diagonal gradient, and the bottom left side is at the right size, at the right level. Next, what did I do? I added some concrete, so that's really slight. So I can show you opacity 4%. If I push that up, you have way more. I wanted concrete, a little bit of texture in the background, so that I've pushed down to 4% to make it almost imperceptible. You can see that the image here has a red hue, which I'm removing with the hue saturation layer. And I've turned down, what is it? I've turned it down to the very little value here. And next, what is next? Next, I wanted to put my daughter in there, ballerina. So you can see that if I put it here, it is such a high contrast and so bright that it doesn't really look real. So first thing we'll do is I add an adjustment layer here for just that layer. You can see that I have some curves where let me show that a little bigger here. So I've moved the blacks tiny bit up, so the blacks are a little brighter, and I've lowered the contrast to give that effect. Turn it off, I turn it on. Okay. Then I added a bit to the color balance. I removed some of the blues. I made it slightly more yellow to fit with that. And next thing I did, looking at the hand here, if I zoom in, you see that the hand doesn't look really very realistic because we're missing that little shadow here. So attention to detail, that counts. So add a finger shadow here. You can see that if I add it, you really all of a sudden you think that the hand here is on the wall. So removed and visible. And it's these little details that really add to the image. She's also missing a shadow, so I added a shadow underneath her, and that is simply a Gaussian blur of the shadow. So I blurred it a little bit, that is too crisp, and I added that. And finally, those shadows I modified them with a little level here, so I made the shadows a little bit darker. And finally, I think I touched a tiny bit. See the hue saturation here on her arm. I think I made it a tiny bit less saturation, and I think I turned it a little bit to the reds. And that is my final look of the image. Positive space.